Hey guys, so I've been on this weight loss journey for 18 months now. And those 18 months I've lost 170 pounds. And some of the things I get asked a lot are, how did I start? How do I keep going? Things like that. One funny thing that I've gotten more than once is somebody be like, how did you really do it? You mean to tell me you really just kept trying and one day you got it? It's the funniest thing. Um, I don't know. This message is kind of make me chuckle because it's like, yeah. um, so, anyways, I started out in March 4, 2020 at 376 pounds. That was not my highest. My highest would have been from December 2019, so just a couple months before that. I definitely packed on some extra pounds around Christmas time, holidays, baking, and all that stuff. So extra pounds, but I don't know, probably somewhere around 385-ish. My scale actually didn't go up that high, so I'm not really sure exactly how high it went, but it didn't go much over that because I got a special scale that did weigh me up to where I was. But it was, I think, after the New Year's. So I started March 4, 2020. And, so I always remember trying to like cause an aha moment, from Oprah, the aha moment. And so, if I always wondered, like, how can you make that happen? And because there's something that has to happen, like that shift has to happen for someone to go from the extremes that I was at, kind of have to shift that pendulum back the other way. So for me personally, I actually did have an aha moment. And it may not be the aha moment that you would think it would be, but this was kind of my aha moment was, I had just binged, which I ate constantly, like all day by this point. You don't get up to that weight by occasionally overeating. At least I don't think you can. It wasn't my case. I was eating massive amounts of calories, so I know why I was overweight. I knew why I was overweight. No excuses for me. But I remember I was in my bathroom and I just binged again. And I was just crying my eyes out. And I was like, God, like I'm cursed. I'm cursed. Nothing works. Like I've tried everything. No matter what I do, like it's like I'm damned if I do, I'm damned if I don't. Because I had tried just everything. I literally had tried, not literally, guys, but like every diet known to woman, I've tried it. And then, I tried, self-help books, I tried therapy, weight loss pills, everything would work for a little bit, but there was no like real solution. I need like a real solution. Like I'm tired of going up and down, up and down, up and down. And so at this point I had, tried to do, so I had been reading like, eating disorder things and self-help and, counseling things, and their thing was, a lot of the so-called experts would say, like, oh, you binge because you restrict, which in my case is not true. But in many cases, I'm sure it is. So I had tried, that's what I was trying to do, like no more restriction, I'm not going to do this. So I'm doing intuitive eating with my therapist. And that's actually when I put on 100 pounds. I put on straight 100 pounds with intuitive eating. It was not intuitive. That doesn't exist if you're a food addict, just as an aside note. It helps so many people. I love the program for so many people. But if you're a food addict, you don't have an intuition. That's like telling an alcoholic to intuitively drink. And I don't, I know this is, like one of those subjects that, is a lot of controversy, but there isn't. There's so many studies saying that sugar is just as addictive as cocaine. The only reason people say there's not food addiction is because they don't want there to be. There certainly is. And I certainly am a food addict. So intuitive eating did not work for me. And I was just sitting there like crying my eyes out. I'm like, nothing works. Nothing freaking works. I might as well just like end it now. I can't live in this hell, because I just battled food all day long. Like I just wanted to eat all day long. Like I literally wanted to eat all day long. I would eat until I was so full that I couldn't take anymore, because you do obviously reach that limit. And I would go try to do something, probably sleep, until I could fit more in. It was just a never ending story. I woke up in the morning thinking about food. I went to bed at night thinking about food. And I just felt beat, like beat. And then there was like that little voice from God that said, no, Jenny, there's something that worked for you. And I was like, my gosh, something did work for me before. And that's when I realized that there was only one thing that had ever worked for me before. And that was a food plan for food addicts. I'm not going to name a food plan. Let's just say it was a food plan for food addicts. There are several available online for people to look up. Yeah. And that's when it hit me. I was like, that did work for me. That's the most free I've ever been in my life. Oh my gosh. Like I'm sitting here trying to take experts' opinions, advice, and it's screwing me up, screwing me over. Like the biggest I've ever been in my life. Miserable. Before that, my highest weight had been like around 280. And I thought weight was a vanity issue. I'm not going to say my highest weight, because I had pregnancies and I was also morbidly obese as a teenager. But as an adult, I stayed around 240, 280, sometimes 220. Sometimes I get down to like 190s, because I dieted a lot and I did a lot of exercise. But I couldn't stick with it. I couldn't stick with anything. So I yo-yoed a lot. So anyways, but yeah, I mean, I wasn't still, even at those extremes, I wasn't climbing up like I was at this point. And I was gaining rapidly still. Anyways, so that was kind of like my aha moment, where I was like, oh my gosh, something did work for me before. And so just that knowledge was enough to set me on that course. And here's the reason why I think it was an aha moment for me, and why I think it set me on the course. So if you're not sure, if you don't think something's going to work, it's really hard to commit to it. And you're just trying things, right? And then, so if you're going to do something really good, you have to really believe in it. You have to really commit to it. Now, I did commit to intuitive eating, and it didn't work for me, but it's because it didn't work for me. It's not because I didn't commit to it. And that's okay. We try different things, right? But in my aha moment, it was that sudden realization, like that conviction that I knew that I had to take this path, that all of a sudden I knew what I had to do. And that to me was my aha moment. And it makes so much sense to me looking back, because it's like, if you're not sure what to do, how do you have that conviction? How do you have that kind of spirit, that kind of energy to like really pursue something if you're not sure what you're supposed to do? It's kind of like, like the map analogy. If you're going from, Texas to California, if you know where you're going, you have the map, you go where you're going. It's not that big of a deal. But if you're not sure if you're going to California or New Mexico, I don't know, I'm just throwing states out there, you're kind of like, well, should I take this road or should I take that road? And it's really hard to commit to anything. So for me, my real aha moment was when it hit me that that something had worked for me, and all of a sudden I understood what I had to do. So I don't know if that's helpful to anybody out there, but that was my aha moment, guys. And it was just the conviction, just knowing, okay, now I know this is what I have to do. And in that aspect, I'm like so glad I tried all these other things. I'm so glad I tried all these other things, including intuitive eating, even though I gained 100 pounds on it. I'm glad I tried it, because part of the reason that I tried it is because I didn't know. I kept thinking maybe it would work for me. Maybe I didn't have to cut out, sugar. Maybe I didn't have to do XYZ. But after I tried it and after I saw the results of all these different plans, all these different diets, all these different techniques, the diet pills, the therapists, the programs, the self-help books, everything, once I realized like it was like just in my face. That's what you got to do. And I had that conviction, and having that conviction made it, frankly, quite easy to do. And I still have, I'm 18 months in. I don't veer from my food plan, but there's times when I'll be like, oh, I was making my son peanut butter and jelly sandwiches this morning, which used to be one of my big, white bread for me. Man, I could give me some bread and butter or spread or peanut butter, anything. That was my crack. I loved it. I could seriously eat a whole loaf of bread in a day or sitting. I could eat, a pack of hamburger buns. Didn't matter. Just white bread was, or wheat bread for that matter. Just bread in general. I love it. Loved it. Anyways, and the smell, the smell of it, I was like, wow, it smells good. And I thought, wow, that's so crazy. I'll seriously sometimes look at that stuff and be like, wow, I could just mouth through this whole thing back in the day. And guys, that's when I thank God. I just thank God from the bottom of my heart that I don't have to do that anymore. Lord have mercy. So glad I don't have to do that anymore. But in order for me to get to that point, I feel like I had to have that conviction, and to know that that's what I needed to do. So I don't know if, like I said, I don't know if that helps anybody, but for me, that really was my aha moment. That was the catalyst for change for me. And once I had that conviction, I was then able to take the steps to make that happen. And I found that strength. And, the Lord gave me that strength. And here I am, I'm not at the end of my journey. I'm just 18 months in to the rest of my life. Yay. So anyway, yeah, I hope this helps somebody. Anybody has any comments or questions that they'd like to ask, or like for me to make a video on, or even just a DM is fine. I DM, people DM me a lot with questions. That's fine too. And yeah, you guys have a great day, and I hope I help somebody. Thanks, guys.